So our next speaker is Professor Dikshit from BHU, and he is a professor in Civil Engineering Department at IIT BHU. And thank you, sir, for uh, this accepting our invitation to deliver the lecture in this 5-day FDP program on water resources system modeling. And without wasting our time, I think you may please start your presentation.
Wait for a minute. Okay. Well, I'm Professor P.K.S. Dikshit, professor in the Department of Civil Engineering, IIT BHU, and today I'm given an opportunity to talk and interact with you people. And thanks to Dr. Ajay, or Professor Ajay, for providing such opportunity to me. So today's topic of interaction is hydrological and sediment yield modeling and its impact on climate change. So one of my PhD students did her work on this topic and she was able to publish 6 SCI papers and 1 or 2 are in pipeline. So good number of publications came out from this topic which we took for the area surrounding this Varanasi region, nearby area. So of course today due to climate change and other reasons, for example, the monthly average for yearly rainfall is of this region or nearby region is nearly 1200 to 1300, and last month we have witnessed a daily rainfall of 400 to an area whose average rainfall was nearly this much, and that is Pantnagar, and for 3 or 4 days the whole area was surrounded by water. So that is the change which are taking place nowadays. So you can imagine a rainfall of 400 is very high, and such type of things are witnessed by us. So this field or topic is nowadays much relevant, and of course anyone who can work can publish or produce a good number of paper based on this. So here, the agenda of this one was first we will discuss about the prevalent source of inspiration. So I'll discuss just now that due to climate change or this cloud bursting and other reasons, the things are becoming uncertain, and due to that uncertainty, which creates good opportunity to we researchers to research in different area and create some scene in which if we think that if this would happen, what would be the after effect, and based on that we can publish paper. That is our aim, as well as we can help in the people living over those areas to prepare themselves for facing such type of situation. So second is study area, third is objective of the project, then data used and processing, then identification and prioritization of critical soil erosion prone areas, then utilizing soil and water assessment tool for hydrological modeling. Then we compare the SWOT model calibration techniques for hydrological modeling. Then assessing the principal cause of soil erosion based on different regression techniques and other factors. Then assessing the impact of land use on soil erosion. So am I audible to you people? Because right now I'm using this PowerPoint, so I'm unable to see whether I'm visible and my voice is over there or not. I'm not getting any response.
Yes, sir, it is clear, sir.
Okay. Then analyzing the impact of soil erosion and environment on environmental and climate change. Then soil erosion deterrence techniques. Then conclusion. Then future scope of this study. And last is the references. So here our preamble and sources of inspiration, that land degradation is a primary issue faced by some of the countries and including our India. If you see the degradation of land and transportation of soil, so it is comes in a very big amount. So later on we will learn about this one. So main reason behind the soil degradation is the soil erosion. Of course, plenty of reasons are there for the soil erosion. We are not going to that one because that is another topic. So initially, when soil erosion is used to occur over the natural soil, it is driven with the same rate as it is made, that is transported. So no harm is done to the earth. But nowadays, due to different type of activities, urbanizations, mining activity, etc., or that is, you can say, the human interference over the surface of the earth, the rate of soil erosion is nowadays many times more than the previous rate of erosion, which was given by Zuzu and Texilo in 2007. So every year, approximately 75 million tons of soil is degraded from the World Global Logical Community. Of course, water goes to the sea and by means of rainfall, it comes over the surface, but that doesn't happen to the soil. Whatever is lost, only due to technical activity, something is coming above the soil surface, but that is not up to that rate which we are losing. So around 6.6 billion tons of soil is lost in India as by the estimate of LAR in 1990. So soil degradation is one of the pressing issues in countries like ours, where agriculture and farming are the backbone or background of our economy. So this is an old map of 2016 which I have used. Of course, nowadays we are having 28 state and 8 union territories. So Jammu and Kashmir is divided into different categories, and over here Andhra Pradesh is also divided, and such type of division has been taken. But I have used because I have to show only the land degradation affected states. Okay, so for that I have taken a previous older map. I have not changed this one. So you can see based on this legends that what is the effect of this land degradation over the different area of our country. So our study area, what we have taken a pilot area in UP nearby Varanasi. So this is the map of UP and this is our pilot area, which includes 3 states, state of UP, which includes 3 districts, Allahabad, Balia, or we can say 4 districts, Allahabad, Balia, Varanasi and Mirzapur. 4 districts are fallen over this one. And the state area lies between 80 degree 3 minutes east to 84 degree 49 minutes east, and was covering approximately 22,000 kilometers of area. We divide initially this watershed into the 17 sub watershed based on the software, okay, based on sort, which we will explain later on. And further on, when our studies proceed, we enhance this sub-water set into 33 number of water set, because some areas were very less prone to this soil erosion, and some area due to different topographical and other conditions were very prone to this sediment erosion. So we have divided later on to 33 water sets. So you people don't get confused that where this figure 17 and 33 comes. So we further subdivided so that we can take the areas which are more prone to soil degradation. So this is our study area, which we can see over here. These are the locations of watershed in UP, and based on that we have delineated this one. So finally our total watershed after delineation comes to 15,621 square kilometer. So the objective, as discussed, is first identification and prioritization of critical soil erosion prone area, then utilizing soil and water assessment tool, that is SWOT, for hydrological and sediment yield modeling, then comparison of SWOT model, calibration technique, and validation of our results, then impact of soil erosion on environment and climate change, then principal cause of soil erosion. Later on, to forecast the future weather data using data mining and R languages, then to do the sediment yield modeling for future data based on some different hypotheses. Then last one is the impact of land use land cover dynamics on soil erosion and its deterrence techniques. So the data used for climate data, we use IMD, which was for 4 locations, 3 districts, Varanasi, Balia, and Ghazipur, and Bawatpur is situated in Varanasi, but as it is having one runway or international airport, so they are having one weather station. So because of that, we are naming Bawatpur also in this one. So 4 weather stations were used for using this study from year 1996 to 2015 and data collected were from IMD. Similarly, for satellite imagery, we have used United States Geological Survey. Similarly, for generating DM also we use USGS data, and for soil data we again use NBSS, National Bureau of Soil Survey data. Then we use CWC for the sediment yield data, and all the things are given in the subnote. Then identification and prioritization of critical soil erosion prone area. So prioritization only by morphometric analysis is not reliable enough, as it does not consider land use, land cover, and soil characteristics. Therefore, in this study, what we have done, along with morphometrical analysis, we use USLE, soil loss equation, and land use, land cover based prioritization to identify critical soil erosion prone areas. So our main objective becomes to analyze the morphometric parameters of the study area and to estimate the soil loss using USLE with help of rainfall data, DM, land use, land cover, and last one, to find out the erosion prone areas by prioritizing the sub-waters. So because of this prioritization, we enhance our sub-water set from 17 to 30. So this is the flow chart which we have used. So first we acquire data, then geometric correction, then delineation of drainage network, then extraction of study area for watershed and sub-watershed, and like morphometric analysis, linear, aerial, and shape. Then ranking of parameters, that for example, the area which is having more slope will more prone to soil erosion. Area which is having more rainfall will more prone to soil erosion. And like that, we do the ranking of different parameters. Then we make the composite score, and based on that composite score, we prioritize our sub-watershed. So this is the watershed delineation. So from DEM, we have done this analysis, and based on that, we create a sub-watershed like this. The basic parameters of all sub-watershed were calculated using calculate geometry of ArcGIS 10 software, and all metric parameters earlier on were calculated using the formula given by different scholars like Hutton and Salters, etc. And these were the watershed which we have delineated. Okay, and stream map of our sub-watershed number 13, that is Varanasi region, is given like this. So in this pattern, we have delineated our sub-watershed, and these are the different formulas given by different researchers. So name of researchers are given over here, and these are the different parameters: bifurcation ratio, basin length, drainage density, stream frequency. So all the parameters which we have read in our different courses, how basin length is related with the drainage density and other parameters are known, and based on that we calculated all the things which were given by different scholars. So after calculating all the metric parameters, we prioritize sub-watershed according to this following steps. So the first one was the linear parameter were proportional to soil area. So here what we have seen that some parameters are directly proportional to the soil erosion, and some parameters are inversely proportional to parameter, and based on the priority we give some ranking. For example, slope. If more slope is there, the area will be more prone to soil erosion. More rainfall, more prone to soil erosion. So these are directly proportional, and somewhere it is inversely proportional. For example, vegetation cover is there, so it is less prone to soil erosion, like that. So based on that, we provide the ranking parameters, so say pattern, etc. all are given over here. So this is the way by which we give the ranking. For example, the say parameters are inversely proportional to soil erosion, which means that inverse relationship with erosibilities, and based on that we give lower ranking or reverse of the ranking, and based on that result is shown over here, the result of prioritization based on morphometric analysis. So here our different sub-watersheds were given for different form factor, drainage density, etc. different ranks, and based on that what we conclude that severely affected watersheds are number 6, 5, 15, 16 and 17, that is 5 numbers. Moderate were 6 numbers, less than were 4 number, and not affected at all were 2 in numbers. So this was based on morphometric analysis, that these are the soil affected areas. Then prioritization based on land use, land cover map. So here the flow chart is like this, that from satellite imagery we have delineated after doing the geometric corrections and mosaiking the image, we get the image classification, then land use, land cover map formation, and finding out the percentage of different type of lands over each watershed, then ranking of each sub-watershed for all different types, then compound score, and finally prioritization of sub-watershed. So here is our land use, land cover map. So the different legends are given over here. We can see that water parts are, these are the reservoirs. These are the reservoirs, blue in color. Similarly, this river Ganga is in between the both left and right. of our watershed. Then image classification to create land use map. So these are the data preparation techniques. So here the steps given are that how we classify the classifier classification like that. These are the steps. So this what to say slide is available will be provided to you. So if you anyone wants to do, he or she can go through that one. So this is the flow chart by which we have done our image classification. So the things are written just in the bottom of here in figure 13. So based on that, you can do the classification of image. Then our result. So the result of land use land cover prioritization was like this, that different preliminary and final ranking of sub watershed were given at the last. Okay, so you can see Tripura region watershed, which is in Vindhya means Mirzapur, is given first, and like that different ranking was given based on land use land cover prioritization. Then if we compare this result, then severe affected were 6, moderate affected are 4, less affected are 3, and not affected are 2. In our previous slide, if you see, not affected are 2 in morphometric analysis, but over here it is 3. So some difference is there in different techniques which we compare over here also. So methodology for prioritization based on universal soil loss equation, which we say USLE. So this is the flow chart by which we do the things, and the equation is for universal soil loss equation given by Smith in 1978 is A is equal to R multiplied by KLSCP, where these are the different things. L is slope length factor, S is slope steepness factor, C is cover management factor or cropping pattern, and P is erosion control factor. R is a factor expressing the erosion potential, and K is soil erodibility loss factor. Okay, in terms per hour. So based on that, prioritization using USLE analysis, what we got, we calculated what is the soil loss in ton per hectare, and finally what we see over here, that here in this equation 2 are not affected, 5, 6, 4 and 2 are respectively severely affected, moderately affected, less affected and not affected, or like this. So based on that, you can see 2, 3, 2. So some changes are taking place. So the final result of 3 prioritizations are showing that this area, which is Mirzapur and Chunari region, is showing the maximum soil erosion. This one is having maximum based on all the 3 what we have seen, that this shows Mirzapur and Chunar region is having maximum soil erosion. So that is affected clearly visible from the figures which are shown, that this area is mostly undulated area and slope is up to 99.99%, means steep vertical ridges are there, which can be seen or witnessed from this figure. Similarly, over here and over this area, lot of mining activities are also taking, which is also resulting into soil erosion and other degradation formations. So now, utilizing SWOT for hydrological and sediment yield modeling. So here what we have, the flow chart is that we collect the data, then use this flow chart for finally calculating the settlement yield as well as runoff by SWOT. So we use R-SWOT tool for finding the result, and these are the procedure by which we have used the thing. Then we go for watershed delineation, and this is the procedure by which we use the watershed delineation, and finally we delineated our watershed like this. So we now modify our watershed into from this 18 to 46, and many areas were very less prone to this soil erosion. So we ignore all those areas which are less prone, and we only concentrated to the area which are prone to the watershed. And based on that, we modify our result. That we analyze only 33 watersheds which are prone to the soil erosion, and left all those which are not prone to soil erosion. So the steps taken for the HRU analysis is shown over here, and we create the land use land cover map like this, and these are the legends. Then soil map was calculated based on this. Then soil data by NBSS were taken. These are the classification of soils for different parameters, soil length, and finally we calculate the slope. So you can see this area which was shown the maximum number of soil erosion is having a percentage of slope from 25 to 99.99%, that is almost cliff or vertical region. So these are the regions, yellow in color, which shows the percentage of slope is very steep, and rest of area is 0 to 5 is very flat. So most of the area over these regions are ignored or not taken into consideration for the analysis, because erosion is very less over those areas. Then weather data. So in ArcGIS we use this pattern, this procedure to do this, and then when after running the R-SWOT, we got this average monthly rainfall. So you can see monthly rainfall is approximately 200 over this area. Okay, in month 7 and 8, means July and August or September. In these 3 months, we are receiving 200 mm of rainfall. And just I have told you that Panagar, which is earlier in the UP, now in Uttarakhand, is in the foothill of Himalayas. So over there, one day people receive, or area receive 400 mm of rainfall. So what normally we receive in 2 months was received in 1 day. So you can visualize the situation which happens over there. And of course here, I want to add to you people, you can do the research that during the last few months, we have seen extreme events in the global scale. China was flooded by water, then people of Iran were facing water crisis, then somewhere again it was the area which received 100 years or 200 years of maximum return period of that any event, that is rainfall over those areas. Of course, Panagar, Germany, etc., all were get flooded. So such type of situations was taking at the same time. One area facing scarcity of water, they were unable to get drinking water even, and other areas facing the flood. So these are the things which I want to show you to compare or visualize the things. So 2 months average means rainfall. Total rainfall is 400 over here or here, you can say, which is received in 1 day at a particular area. So think of the extreme condition. And of course, any of you can work in this area. You may get some Nobel or such type of award based on this one. So here, average annual values of parameters for each type of land is shown. So area, water, how much water and other parameters are over here. And based on that, we calculate our sedimentation per hectare like this. So the SWOT divided, we divide our watershed into 46 sub watershed and 760 HRU for easy and accurate modeling were calculated as discussed earlier. So our average annual precipitation was approximately 941. So here in Varanasi we receive more rainfall, but in Vindhya region and other regions the rainfall is less approximately. And due to that, our average rainfall is 941. And you can see over here, surface runoff is very high, approximately 400 out of 900. So more than 40% is surface runoff. From the result, it is evident that average 45% total precipitation water is lost in runoff and evapotranspiration. That is, this one is 45% is a weak figure. It was also concluded for the range and agricultural land, surface runoff may be excessive. For barren land, the sediment yield may be overly high. So these were the conclusions. Then calibration method and their comparison. So what we have done, we calibrate our modifications of element based on SWOT yields and adjusted the average value of evaluated estimation of runoff, evapotranspiration, and other SWOT output. And we validate the results with other one. So here 34 parameters distinguished for runoff and soil erosion are utilized for calibration. So the flow chart were like this. So from input SWOT model and like this, finally we go for the sensitivity analysis. So the calibration algorithm is taken like this. Then criteria for comparison. What we do, first we compare based on the best estimates and then minimum maximum uncertainty range of each algorithm and the parameters calibrate. Then the various objective functions used by the various algorithms were compared based on the value of NS, R2 and other objective functions. Then third comparison was based on the R factor, which is average value of band divided by standard deviation of comparison result variable, and P factor, which is percentage of data bracket by 95 ppU band of algorithm. And fourth and fifth comparison was then we go for final comparison based on the difference of implementation. So this is the category 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are the criteria. Based on that, we do the comparison. Okay, and what we see that these are the very easy, very easy, and this type of things. So now we compare our output from comparison and descripted given above before. We can conclude that the performance of SUFI2 and blue were almost similar. However, the 95 ppU plot, we concluded that SUFI2 performed better than blue. Similarly, as SUFI2 can be run with smaller number of parameters. Blue works with larger number of simulations but cannot provide better result than SUFI. So we consider SUFI2 to be the best for this study, and further analysis of sediment calibration was done by the SUFI2 algorithm. These are the calibration of discharge by glue and SUFI2. So you can see over here, and validation of our results were like this. Then impact of soil erosion on climate change. So we can see average maximum temperature rise per after 5 years since 1969 is like this. Similarly, average precipitation for 5 years since 1969 is something. Of course, it is flat but a little bit falling. Similarly, average stress water stress days per 5 years from the years 1969 is increasing. So we can witness that if our average rainfall remains same, but 1 day or 2 days precipitation exceeds to 200 or 400, so definitely rest of the period will be lean period and water stress would be there. Then laws of climate change. So from this diagram, I will try to show you that how the climate change is taking place. So of course, we can know that greenhouse gases are mostly responsible for this one. Of course, now new studies are also there that while making the reservoirs, they are also contributing to the greenhouse effect as sediment get deposited in the bottom of the reservoir leads to more greenhouse gas emission. So here the NOx and COX, NOx and COX are mainly responsible for this one, the greenhouse changes. So here the soil erosion is responsible for climate change. So let us see from this diagram that when weathering is taking place, they are transported and deposited, and these decomposition are get settled somewhere near to the weathering place or away from the weathering place. So here delivery ratio is about 10% and it decreases with increasing distance from the source. It means the weathering deposition is nearer to the source, then more emission of gas will be there as compared to the distance it travels. So that is the thing which I want to say. So soil erosion by water is a fourth stage process, that is detachment, splash, transport and redistribution over the land surface cap and deposition buried at depressions or aquatic site. So those who are living nearby the river can see or witness that after flood, huge amount of sediment or silt is deposited by the river over the left or right bank, depending on the whether it is meandering river, which side it is meandering. So one side is means deposition of sediment is there. So that is the thing. So in general, SOC is prone to the enhanced decomposition during first 3 stages of erosional process. However, rate of mineralization may be slower during the deposition buried stage depending on hydrothermal region of the depth and deposition. So these are factors, and if this deposition, when we build reservoirs or dams, etc., so on the opposite side reservoirs are there. So mostly the erosion is deposited over there. So they are also becoming a good source of gas emission. And we do the validation using titration method in our lab like this. So we take the soil sample and do this analysis. What was the result? So percentage organic matter were calculated from the different samples taken at different places. And this was the value of the organic matter. So the more the amount of rain and runoff, the more will be the soil erosion, which is obvious. And in area where most of the land type is watershed, westland, the soil erosion would be more and more with the slopey surface. So this is obvious that more is the hilly terrain or slopey terrain, more would be the soil erosion. So these are the factors which combine together to get the prioritization. So here we are showing that soil erosion for each watershed, the amount of soil erosion for each watershed. So you can see over here it is very flat as seen from slope was less than 0.5. So this is 1, and similarly you can see 2 and 3 over here, which are the flat surfaces. So based on that, we have calculated the soil erosion of all the watershed. And here sediment yield based on land use land cover or different type of land use land cover. So obviously water is having flat area. This is the area which is very less, and we get 0, assuming that we have not taken river Ganga into that one, only the thing which are over the surface. So we got this values. Then soil type wise analysis. So here the different types of soil as discussed earlier and their area, and based on the sediment yield, we give them the ranking. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the ranking given to those type of soils. So here we have calculated the percentage slope, soil type, land use land cover, and soil type and slope of different area. And finally, for different values, we get different ranking based on that one. So after that, we go for linear regression. So in statistics, linear regression, linear approach to modeling the relationship between scalar response and one or more of the variables. So in this case, we attempt to know y is equal to a plus b into x. So this was linear regression. And multivariate linear regression is like this. So here the parameters taken for the regressions are this one. Okay, and based on that, we done the regression analysis and got R square like this one. So standard error, etc. are given over here. Then we perform that multiple regression in MATLAB, and based on that regression, we got the impact of land cover dynamics. 3 scenarios were created. So 3 scenes were created. First was the scene in which we take the land use land cover map of 2005 and 4, and we use climate data from year 2005 to 15 to create the scenario. Second scenario was we take the land use land cover map of 2015, and again we use the climate data from 2005 to 15. And third scenario was that we use land use land cover map of 2015 and the climate data from 1996 to 2015, from 2005. Similarly, we can create any hypothetical climate data and can see what would be the effect of that event for a particular map or land use land cover map. So based on that, the first was the land cover map of 2004, and this was the land use land cover map of 2015. You can see the changes. Lot of urbanization took place in between these 10 years. You can see over here, River Ganga. So here, urban area urbanization is more, especially along with the bank of the river. Over here, and here. You can see more urbanization took place, and loss of agriculture or forest is also taking place over here to here if you compare. So the left part, left side of this one is Varanasi and Balia district, and right side Mirzapur and Ghazipur area. Sorry, Ghazipur is also here. Mirzapur and another area is there. Part of this is Ghazipur, and nowadays Badoni another area. Sorry, Chandoli and other area districts came over here. So this is the two different maps which we are comparing. Map of 2004 and 2015. You can see the changes. So based on that, we are giving the summary of land use land cover pattern of watershed of different period. So this one is the summary 2004-2015 percentage of water bodies over here, and percentage change is like this. So agriculture negative, forest negative, urbanization maximum 6 point, this one is maximum, degradation of forest is approximately 12%, and this urbanization 6% increase was there. So based on our Selenium 1, that is, we have taken the data of 2004 and climate data from 4 to 15. Okay, this was the Selenium 1. So we got annual average precipitation like this, annual average runoff like this, and an average sediment yield 6.7. When we use the data land use land cover of 15, we can see that there is increase in runoff as well as increase in sediment yield, and percentage change is approximately 17% and 26% increase in sediment yield and runoff. It means runoff is increasing as well as sediment yield is increasing because of the change and decrease in forest and other thing, and increase in urbanization. So analysis of impact on land use land cover dynamics on sediment yield despite the period 2004 to 15 as discussed is a remarkable change. What we have seen that increase in urbanization 6.3, decrease in forest land 11, and increase rangeland by 8.7. Due to that factor, the increase of runoff was 13%, and sediment yield as 26% in that duration of 11 years. Then we go for different techniques. The most commonly used soil erosion control measure is plantation, which reduce the soil erosion as by Ray and Duran. So plant produce energy of rain which with the canopy and its roots bound the soil. Also, vegetation stops the flow of soil by acting as a barrier. So these were the things we were given by different people. So apart from this preservation, prevent technique of soil erosion are divided into two types. That is, by reducing the rainfall amount, and by reducing the runoff velocity. The amount of runoff can be reduced by increasing the infiltration of soil or by preventing soil runoff directly using division techniques of channel or intercepting ditches. So two things are there. Either we use reduce the runoff or its velocity. If we are unable to reduce the runoff, we reduce the runoff velocity. So for that, we go for dynamic land use mapping. So these are the techniques by which we go for this one. And for reducing the soil erosion, we propose to different structures. That is 30% agriculture, 40% barren land, 25% rangeland would be proposed to contribute to forest and other area. So these are the sub-watershed which are given. So applying this change, an overall sediment yield was calculated, and we estimated that the 20% reduction in overall sediment yield was there due to this change, the land use land cover, which we proposed, and based on that proposal, we run our model and see that 20% reduction was there, though increase was 16%, but reduction is more. So from the graph of sediment yield before and after applying the regeneration technique, so these are the graphs which was showing. So sediment yield after applying the vegetation. Something is wrong. We have written something wrong here. Legend is given. It's a percentage change. We are talking about the percentage change. So this is the percentage change, so which is obviously higher as compared to the previous one. Then we, in order to reduce the runoff velocity, we propose some hydraulic structure. So as well as for reducing the runoff volume, hydraulic structures are proposed. So flow acquisition and sink maps were generated from DM imagery using ArcGIS software. And from there, flow accumulation map were used to study flow accumulation of the study area. And sink maps are used for determine the location of depressed point in the study area. And these depressed points were used for locating a suitable site for hydraulic structure. So sink and flow accumulation map were generated, which was like this. Okay. And based on that, we propose different type of structures. So gabions, which are the case filled with rocks, soil, sand, concrete, etc., which are used for checking the erosion. Okay. And these are permeable and impermeable, so definitions are there in the hydraulics. Different type of gabions are there, permeable and impermeable. Then check dams are also proposed. So, of course, people are aware of this thing, the check dams. Then any cut, which are made dams made over the stream for maintaining and regulating the flow for irrigation, and bunds are over the hilly surface, which are controlled bunds. Then farm ponds are proposed for checking the erosion over the side, the soil which is taken out are made as bund. So in this sub-watershed, the primary cause of soil erosion was the deep slope and high runoff. So hydraulic structures were modulated to reduce the soil erosion. So all the gabions were placed in the upper reach of the drainage network for minimizing the transportation of eroded soil for watershed and sub-watershed. So as we discussed earlier, that nearest to the place, more will the gas emission, but we are trying to check the velocity and controlling the runoff. So as runoff will be less will be the erosion. These structures are very effective to trap eroded material from the land traveling with runoff by allowing passage to runoff. Then transportation of silt started at the origin of a stream. Therefore, gabions were placed at the place where hydraulic structures are modeling, and check dams and slope check dams and other structures are also provided like this. So based on that, we model, and these are the places of any cuts. Then burns are provided. So you can see more number of burns are over here, which is having main more contour as compared to this flat area. Then check dams. Here, check dams are more in numbers as compared to this upper or north of the area. Then farm ponds are again over here are dominating. Then gabions, you can see, are placed over here. So these are the structures which are proposed based on our result, and by modeling these structures, what we have calculated that the erosion was reduced from 25 to 30% of the water set. And what we also found that the vegetation of soil also increases by an amount of 50 to 60%, and due to this, more than 20% further soil erosion was reduced. So these measures can be used to increase the vegetation in the to get outstanding result for minimizing the soil erosion, as well as the decrease in soil erosion will ultimately improve the water quality of the water source. So what we conclude that sediment yield modeling is not easily to be done by one specialization. For that, we need a knowledge of hydrology, geology, geoinformatics, and electronics, etc. So here, the work done by our resident. So we two people were a guide. One was from civil engineering, other from geology. So our joint contribution helped her to, as well as she did her masters in geoinformatics. So that knowledge, and BTech from electronics. So that knowledge helped her to get a good number of papers, and with one PhD, 6 number of SCI publications, and more than 6 number of SCI publications are achieved. So that is a good work, we can say. So what our government is proposing, interdisciplinary research. So here, this is one clear-cut case of interdisciplinary research in which 4 different streams join together to get a good result. Then JS techniques, technology nowadays occupy a prominent place along with modern computer tools and constitute invaluable support in decision making of. So present study, ArcGIS and SWOT were used for analyzing the impact of climate change on land use, land cover. Then we conclude that the land type and slope are principal reasons for soil erosion. So the management practice which can be directly applied to reduce the impact of slope and land type would be more effective, as happens in our present case. And the last one, the management practice can be applied as remedial of soil erosion in problem in this area. Convert the barren land into forest or rangeland, then convert some percentage of agriculture land to forest. That is, from agriculture we can go for agroforestry, and we can also model some runoff control hydraulic structures like bomb, check dam, etc. So nowadays, our government over this area is also working hard to make such type of models and structures. So that is the thing which we have done or proposed, and is done by the government or implemented by the government agencies. So future scope, so this modeling can be further used for water and soil conservation management practice. So this SWOT can be also used for water quality modeling, and for climate change modeling also we can use this method and result. For best management practice, we can use this result, and SWOT can be integrated with other tools like ModPro for further modeling. So we can use this one because in ArcGIS it is a very easy to use this SWOT, but we have not used it in ModPro. So later on we are planning to use or integrate this SWOT with ModPro to get our result. So these are the references of the papers, and we got 4 papers. We got 4 papers, and let me see what are the. Sorry, 6 papers. So these are the 6 papers which has been published. Of course, this is the late uh, means these 2 are also published, and 2 more are in pipeline due to the different engagement of a student as well as of mine. We are unable to put the things well in time, but these are the 6 number of papers which has been published based on this one. So if anybody wants, we can provide these papers. If anybody wants to discuss the things and wants to take our help for doing their analysis and modeling, we are ready to help them. So that is our part. Of course, I have completed within 1 hour, though 2 hours was given to me. So, thank you. I have completed.
But if anybody has any,
Yeah, of course, lot of questions were there. Of course, we have used, we have not used mic due to different limitations. So though we are IT, but financial limitations are nowadays with us. We are able to purchase this mic software.
one question was there, sir,
Yeah.
that Praveen Kumar asks that that USLE or Russell, which one is better? So I wrote him that that modified the universal soil loss equation is better
Ji,
option.
better. Of course, I am looking into those messages right now.
Yes, sir.
Ji.
Sir, one thing I can say that your work is not a simple hydrological modeling using SWAT. It is more than that. And today we have learned that how that model can be used for making different scenario analysis. And this is the true application of SWAT model really for the field condition also. Like that one thing I remember that you have written that forest area has been the reduced, and then all the barren land should be transferred to the forest land to check erosion. So all these studies can be made by using that hydrological model. So, sir, that we have discussed in this 5-day program regarding SWAT model, HECRAS, and WEP model, but this was a really true application which has been presented by you, that how we can use the model, and the 6 papers from a PhD student, and that too in SCI journal, we can understand that hard work put in by the student and the supervisor. So
No,
really,
you
this is
can. I want to add few more things. I want to add few more things. She is BTech from electronics engineering.
oh,
Number
that's
1.
really great.
Then did her masters in remote sensing and GIS. Then came to join our department. So she was not having any basic degree of civil engineering. Number 1.
Okay, sir.
That girl, she completed her PhD in a limited time of 3 years. And because
Yeah.
of a female candidate she was marrying, she was having a lot of responsibility of her in-laws as well as parents. So I left her within the 3 years. Otherwise, she may have produced more than 15 or 20 papers if she stayed together with us. So she was capable to writing good number of things, but she completed her things, you can say, in 2.5 years, and for 6 months she was married, female candidate. So you can see in India, huge responsibilities are there over the female means part as compared to male one.
Yeah, yeah, true, that's
So
true.
she was,
I
apart
think
from the things, taken all the things and produced this work, which was very appreciable. And all the things were done by her own. And for those students who are listening to this, she always come to the department by 9 and left
wow.
by 5:30 or 6. She was regular. She never worked beyond 5:30, and within that time she completed all the things. So PhD is not a miracle. If you are regular, you can complete within a very short span of time.
Yeah,
So that
exactly.
is the thing which I want to add to the students who are, if they are the participant. I don't know. Actually, that was the unfortunate that I was on a tour, unexpected tour was planned. So I was unable to attend your lectures and other things. And after returning back, I got sick. Today also again I'm feeling fever, but as I have to present, because of that I have not taken any excuse. Yeah. So
But
that was
yes,
the
but
thing.
we can understand within 3 years of time, six number of SCI paper. That is a great learning experience from your side to all the participants. At least this is very
That's
encouraging,
why
sir.
I
Uh,
forgot to show that paper, means while sending you. I might have missed that one. Because of that, especially I show them. And if
no,
anybody
sir.
wants,
Actually, we will request your PPT to be shared with the
yeah,
participant.
definitely you can pass it to everybody.
Yes, and I
Okay, and
think
I will also,
yes, I think
uh,
your email ID will be there.
yeah,
If they will be interested, they will write directly to you, and
G
you
G.
please share all the
Definitely
paper
I will
with.
respond. Definitely I will respond. Of course, I have completed within very less, because I have planned to discuss different things, but might be due to sickness or other reasons, I was unable to discuss the things. I've simply read whatever the contents were there. Though my planning was to discuss a lot of things or interact with the students. But
Sir, that one
G,
question is there from Savita.
G.
Uh, she is asking, or he is asking, I'm not sure. So that whether for soil erosion we can use the hydrological models. I think
For ungauged catchment. Okay, we can
or
do.
ungauged catchment.
We can do. It is possible. So see, the main problem with our country is that we don't have gauged uh, means sites. So uh, in US and other places, things are available in a single platform. Here, things are means CWC is gauging all the things, but if you ask to get the data, those are so classified that even these are available, you can't get those data. So we can work, but of course, for ungauged, it is difficult to validate the result. So we have to use some other technique to validate whatever findings are there. Validation is little
Savita,
bit.
or
Ji.
or you can look for some gauged watershed which is similar to your ungauged watershed, and you just validate your model for the gauged watershed, and then directly you can apply for ungauged watershed.
Yeah.
That's what we have
Or
read.
yeah, that is the thing. Or create, because we are engineering students, so create some tools by which we can take the samples, make the gauging, because duration of PhD is 3 years.
Yeah,
Of course, past year data is not available. So validate our result with the this 2 or 3 years set of data. Of course, that
yeah,
is
exactly.
uh,
Or we had a lecture from Dr. Professor Sangam Sres from AIT Bangkok, sir. And his recommendation was there, if you have an ungauged watershed dominated by the urban areas, at least you can check the water balance of the watershed. In
Yeah,
SWAT
yeah,
model,
definitely.
it gives the result of a general watershed, general water balance, which includes the evapotranspiration. If that is matching, then you can say that, okay, your result may
Yeah,
be good.
you are
So
correct
I
over
think,
here.
let me
The
check
water
the
balance was key.
in-call message. I think, sir, we don't have any more messages. We can uh, uh, close this session here. And
So I'm sorry to
sir, sir has always been
earlier.
kind to me, and this was wonderful opportunity to listen you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. If anybody wants, I have given my mobile number and email. I think both.
Sure, sir. Sure, sure, sir.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Okay, everybody is writing. They have appreciated your lecture, sir.
Thank you. That was a little bit practical one. So all the
Yeah,
things tools
exactly.
are
Actually,
given.
sir,
Great.
for the initial 4 days, we discussed how the SWAT, HECRAS, or the web model works, where we can apply these model. But your presentation clearly demonstrated the true application of the model and how we can interpret it, the different kinds of results. So that may be very interesting to the young researcher or the young assistant professors or even professor like me, sir. Thank you so much.
That's your greatness. Anyway, you have put that one at the last. That is also fortunate one. That after analyzing all the things, they realize that this is the applicability of the things what they have learned
No,
in the
sir.
first
Actually,
four
this
days.
is
But I was unfortunate. I was unable to attend this lecture series. So I'm
no issue.
sorry. Yes.
I
After
think we
coming back,
hope to get connected
af-
with you
yeah,
in future.
after coming back, I was fell ill due to temperature difference. I got fever,
No,
and
sir.
I
You
was
please
worried
take
that I got corona. That
or
was the thing. No, it was only the क्या कहते हैं ठंड लगना. But I was worried that might be that symptoms are of corona. So that was a worried thing.
no, sir. You please take care, sir.
No, thank you,
Please.
thank you.
Okay, sir. So then with these words, we close the session here, and the next class will be resumed at 3 o'clock for hands-on experience on that web model. Okay, sir.
Okay,
Have a
thank
nice
you,
day, sir.
thank you, thank you.
Rajneesh, you can stop the recording now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.